It's the last week of the regular season, and we have a whole bunch of games with a lot on the line. We're going to talk about all of them coming up now on the Wednesday edition of Girdiron Central. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jim Alred. Beside me, as always, is Matt Davis, the voice of high school football from 95.7 The Ridge. Boom! The last week of the regular season, we have some very important games, some other games that aren't quite as important, but the key thing about this is everyone pretty much needs to win these games if they want to go into the playoffs. We start in Region 5 AAA. Coahulla Creek, I can never say that word, let's just say the Creek at Adairsville. Adairsville looking to wrap up the number 3 seed if they beat Coahulla Creek. I say the Tigers will do it. What about you, Matt?
I don't think the Tigers will have any problem in this game. I think Adairsville's had the kind of season that most people expected. The only losses they picked up in the region were against Cartersville, best team in the region, and then the second best team in the region, Ringgold, got them as well. Otherwise, Adairsville's had a really good season. They've got a great offense, pretty good defense, special teams solid. They're a solid football team. Meanwhile, Coahulla Creek, they've really struggled. I believe they've only had 2 wins, Murray County and Gordon Central. Between those two teams, only 1 win, and that's because Murray County ended up beating Gordon Central this year. So Adairsville, I circle them.
Gotcha. Moving to Region 7 AA for the next pick, Armurchie at Pepperell. Pepperell needs this win to try to get into the playoffs. If the Dragons win this game, well, there's a whole scenario. We'll talk about that in a little while. Anyway, it's kind of convoluted. We'll get to that later on when we talk about the Model-Dade County game. Anyway, Pepperell needs a win here. Armurchie only 1 win this year so far. The game's at Pepperell. I think the Dragons are probably a little too much for the young Indians. What do you think, Matt?
I agree with getting into the groove before we try to tackle that situation. And we've got more than one of those situations that we're going to look at in a couple of different regions. But this game, I think, is pretty cut and dry. Pepperell, they started off slowly. They were very top-heavy in terms of the matchups they had in the region. They've picked up a couple of wins. They've started to get the offense clicking a little bit. And so, Armurchie, I've seen them play a few times this year. They battle hard, but unfortunately, they cannot finish drives with points. And that's been just the same all season long. So I think Pepperell outscores them and wins the game. Definitely.
Staying in Region 7 AA with the 13 straight region championship from Calhoun last week, won over Model. They are also going for their 100th straight region victory at home against Chattooga. Chattooga is not a bad program. The problem is they're playing at Calhoun. Calhoun is not going to lose this game. Calhoun will finish the season 9-1. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I think that when I look at those 13 consecutive region titles and getting towards that 100 consecutive region win, I want to look at it and check it, even though we've seen it happen because we cover these sports around here. But looking at Calhoun, they beat Model 41-9 last week. I see Model personally as the second best team in Region 7 AA. That will be decided this weekend. Yes. Officially, but they're a pretty decent football team. That just shows you how good Calhoun really is. Chattooga, on the other hand, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They've struggled. I think Calhoun wins this game by a lot.
Definitely. Moving up to Region 7 4A, Ridgeland at Cedartown. This is a play-in game. Since Cedartown lost to Gilmer last week, they cannot win the region title. The winner of this game will either have the number 3 or the number 4 seed out of the region in the playoffs, meaning they will be on the road for the first round playoff game. The loser of this game, they go home. Ridgeland, with only 3 wins on the season, has managed to get themselves into this position. Of course, this is a rematch of a game between the two teams earlier in the season that Cedartown won. The thing I see about this is Ridgeland's a much better football team now than they were in the 3rd or 4th week of the season. Cedartown, they've got to be smarting. I mean, it was a 38-35 loss to Gilmer. They had a chance to put it away, could not do that. I'm going to say the Bulldogs win and get to the playoffs. What about you, Matt?
I'm going to say the same thing. I agree with you. I definitely think that Cedartown's going to be smarting after that loss, but you got to remember, Gilmer is a good football team, and Cedartown gave them all they can handle. And last year, Gilmer wore Cedartown out. So Cedartown is a much improved football team this year. I don't think they're going to have any problems with handling Ridgeland 2 times in the same season. I go with Cedartown.
Jumping back to Region 7AA, another game with playoff implications. Murray County is at Coosa. Murray County did get a win this year. It was against Gordon Central. That was their first win on the field in a few years. They have not had a region win in a while. Look, I think Coosa is the better team here. Coosa should win, possibly running clock in the second half. What do you think, Matt?
Clearly, Coosa's a better team. I think Murray County is going to have their hands full, just to name 2 players, with Isaac Bradley and then at running back, Jaquez Brown, who's been running the football really well for Coosa lately. And, their quarterback is pretty good, Evan Sims. He's had his moments this year where he's really shown that he can be a good quarterback. So I think that Coosa, with the defense that they have and all the offense that they are able to put up from time to time, they should win this game by 30 points.
Gotcha. Moving to Region 6A, where Whitfield Academy is going to be traveling to Darlington. In Region 6A, it always throws me for a loop because in all the other regions across the world, your sub-region champions actually play each other for a championship. In Region 6A, they don't do that. Your sub-region champion on this side, Darlington, the other side, Mount Pisgah, actually play the number 4 seed out of the other sub-region. This is what happens here with Darlington and Whitfield Academy. Look, Darlington's lost last week to Our Lady of Mercy. I keep saying Our Lady of Lourdes. I don't know what my problem is there. Anyway. Hurts, but it doesn't cripple them. Obviously, their power rankings are they're 5th this week, where they've been 1 or 2 for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I see that Darlington will win this game. They probably will not win the region. I think Pisgah will probably win their game and then win the region outright because of the power rankings. Darlington could end up with a much lower seed than we thought originally, but I believe Darlington does win this game. Matt?
I'm going to agree with you. This is the second week in a row that Darlington travels to play a team that they've never played before in football. I know they played them in basketball before because I had the opportunity to broadcast one of their games. And first of all, I want to say I'm very impressed that you called it Whitfield Academy.
Yeah,
the way
it's taken me forever and a day to figure out that you don't pronounce it Whitefield because that's how it's spelled.
That's how it's spelled. So a lot of people are probably going to say Whitefield, but here you get Whitfield, and that is apparently correct. But when I look at common opponents, that's what does it for me in this game. Whitfield barely escaped defeat from Kings Ridge. They beat Gordon Lee 18-0. Both of those teams, Darlington destroyed. And so that factors into this for me. I think Darlington goes on the road. They bounce back and pick up a win.
Gotcha. After the commercial break, we have 6 more games to talk about in 2 possible mini-game scenarios in 2 of the regions that we cover. Stick around.
Begin your future at Georgia Northwestern Technical College. We offer degrees, diplomas, and certificates in over 200 programs of study. Choose a career in business, health, industrial, or public service. With the flexibility of day, evening, and online classes at any of our 5 campus locations, getting your education at GNTC has never been more convenient. There are many financial aid options available, including student loans. Apply now. Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Your college, your town, your future.
Welcome back to the show. We talked about some possible mini-game scenarios. We're not going to talk about those quite yet. We head up to 5 AAA again. North Murray at Gordon Central. It's been a very difficult year for Gordon Central. North Murray is one of those teams that could possibly sneak into a mini-game with a win. I say North Murray is going to get it over the Warriors. Matt?
Well, North Murray has an opportunity to do something they've never done before, and that is beat Gordon Central. Gordon Central's really struggled this year. They have not picked up a single win. North Murray, their record is not a shining record, but I've seen them play, and they've been competitive against some teams. They were pretty competitive against Adairsville. I know that they had a close game with Sonoraville, even though they lost those 2 games. They were in those games going late. So North Murray's a better team than you might think. So I think they'll put up enough offense in this game to get past a struggling Gordon Central.
Staying with Region 5 AAA, and here comes a minigame scenario. It starts this way. LFO is at Sonoraville. Sonoraville has never reached the state playoffs. If Sonoraville beats LFO, the Phoenix are in as the number 4 seed out of Region 5 AAA. It probably means a first-round game at Buford, but guess what? It means playoffs for the first time ever. However, if the Phoenix lose to LFO and North Murray beats Gordon Central, you've got a mini-game scenario that would happen Monday. So obviously, for the Phoenix, a lot is on the line. I think Sonoraville is going to win this game. I don't know how. It might be a close game. I think LFO is going to battle, but I think the Phoenix are going to win and go ahead and win outright and get into the playoffs. What do you think, Matt?
It's been an encouraging season for Sonoraville because, you always hear coaches say, we just want to get better every week. Well, sometimes you see that happen, and sometimes you don't see that happen. Well, for Sonoraville, they can show you they have gotten better as the season's gone on. They really struggled out of the gate. Now they got a playoff opportunity. As you mentioned, they've never been there before. Maybe that puts a little bit more pressure on them in this situation, but at the end of the day, they're an improving team. They're headed in the right direction, and they're playing at home. I'm going with Sonoraville.
Gotcha. Moving back to Region 7AA, and here comes the second mini-game possibility we talk about. Model traveling to glorious Trenton, Georgia to take on Dade County, the Wolverines. The winner of this game is your number 2 seed and Region 7AA runner-up in the playoffs. The loser of this game, if it's Model, okay, here's how it goes. If Model wins, they're definitely the number 2 seed, no problem. Then Dade County, if they lose, and Coosa and Pepperell win, on Monday night, you'll have a 3-team mini-game between Dade County, Coosa, and Pepperell. If Dade County beats Model, Dade County is number 2, Model is number 3, Pepperell's number 4, Coosa's left out in the cold because they lost to Pepperell head-to-head. So in other words, Coosa fans are really pulling for Model in this one, so they have a chance to get into the playoffs.
I'm hoping there's not a test after the show today.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm telling you what. And hopefully, I don't know exactly where that game might be. Still trying to figure that one out. Hopefully, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But obviously, if it happens, we'll be there covering it. Look, the Blue Devils took it on the chin against Calhoun last week. Who hasn't in Region 7AA over the last 13 years? I think the Blue Devils are going to bounce back. I think Model is a better team offensively, defensively, and special teams-wise than Dade County. I think the Blue Devils get a win in Trenton, and we may have that mini-game situation on Monday. What about you, Matt?
For Dade County, they have a couple of speedy guys. Zach Freeman, Brett Swader, they're good running backs, but they're a little bit one-dimensional on offense. Yeah. When I look at Model, they're not as one-dimensional as they have been over the last few years. They've got a couple of guys, Austin Price at wide receiver. Austin Gore had a great game against Coosa at the tight end position, caught a couple of touchdown passes. The quarterback, Cameron O'Neill, he's had some moments this year where he's really looked solid. And then you got to mention Chris Dublin, who a couple of weeks ago rushed for over 200 yards against Coosa. This is a team that has a little bit of diversity on offense, and I think that is going to give Dade County fits in this game if things start clicking early for Model like they did against Coosa a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going with Model. The only thing that would make me concerned about this game for Model is the fact that they're traveling a pretty decent way. They're playing, in Dade County against their fans. I hope that the Model fans will travel over there. If you can't make it, we're going to be going over there to bring a game on the radio, but I would prefer, rather than listening on the radio, that you guys go over there and support the team and really cheer them on because they need your support.
Definitely so. And the thing I see about Dade County is they've struggled against teams that are multidimensional. Coosa was able to run and pass against them and kind of took them to the woodshed. Obviously, Calhoun did that as well. Model, I think on offense, their passing game has developed quite well. The running game's a lot better, but Model's defense is vicious. And I think Dade County is going to have some serious problems just moving the ball against the Blue Devils. And sorry, Model fans, I'm picking for you this time. Hopefully that's not the kiss of death. I actually, hey, I'm giving you props. Anyway, moving on. Region 4 AAA, Callaway at Rockmart. Callaway will be the prohibitive favorite in this in this game. The Yellow Jackets are out of the playoffs. They cannot reach the playoffs. Looking at this, actually that may not be true. If they beat Callaway, they may have a chance mathematically. Anyway, I don't think they're going to beat Callaway. Another thing to be said, this is Dan Duff's final game coaching the Rockmart Yellow Jackets. He is retiring as the football coach at Rockmart after this game. There'll be some emotion, obviously, on the Rockmart sidelines. I think they might be able to play with Callaway for a while, but I think Callaway's going to be a little bit too tough for the Yellow Jackets. I see Rockmart getting the loss. Matt?
You got to go with a consistent team here. Let's face it, Callaway 8-1. They've been scoring, 38 points, something like that a game on average. Their defense is not giving up much. Rockmart, on the other hand, a lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes, those kinds of things, turnovers. I just don't think they'll be able to get it done. I think Callaway wins.
Gotcha. Moving to Region 5-5A, Rome at Woodland, a week after losing a tough overtime game against Villa Rica. And I will say this, Rome fans, don't doubt Coach Perkins on that 2-point conversion call, because when Villa Rica jumped off sides in overtime and Rome got the ball at the 1.5 yard line, the first thing I said in the back of the end zone was go for it. The way Rome had been running, if the ball doesn't get bobbled, that would have been an easy 2-point for Rome. They would have won the game. I thought it was the right call. I think everybody on Rome's side thought it was the right call too. It's just sometimes luck isn't with you. That being said, if Rome beats Woodland and East Paulding loses to Allatoona, which is quite possible, Rome's going to sneak back into that playoff situation. They would be a number 4 seed and have to play at Kell in the opening round of the playoffs. A tough task, but this will be the 4th straight year reaching the playoffs for the Wolves. I say they do it. Matt, what do you think?
Rome's got to take care of business in this game. When you look at the way the season started for Woodland, in the first 6 games, they only scored 3 points. They were 3 points away from being shut out 6 straight games to start the season.
Yeah.
Now, they've reeled off 3 wins, but they beat Paulding County, Lithia Springs, and Hiram, the 3 teams that are below them in the region. So they, it's just one of those situations. Rome will win this game. I don't think they're having any problems against Woodland.
And I will say this. Woodland is playing a lot better now than they were at the beginning of the season. Woodland, 3 straight wins. Obviously, they're going to throw everything at Rome because they're going to try to get that win. I think it'll be closer than most people expect. But like I said, I think the Wolves will win. One final game to talk about is back in Region 6A, trying at Mount Perrin Christian. Again, it's a crossover game, and can't really say it's a play-in game because the winner doesn't automatically go to the playoffs. Both of these teams look to have high enough power rankings that they will be in the playoffs. I am worried a little bit about Tron. I think Mount Perrin's a slightly better team here. I'm going to go with Mount Perrin in it. Matt?
I don't know if it's only slightly. I think Mount Perrin Christian is a really good team, and I think they've got a lot of talented players. But to take it a step further, Mitch Jordan is a good football coach, and he's got good assistant coaches around him. So even when they don't have a tremendous amount of talent, they're good at getting the most out of what they have. And when you look at this team, 2 losses, Landmark and Mount Pisgah. Those 2 teams combined only have 1 loss. I really think Mount Perrin Christian is a superior team, and I think they'll win by maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Possibly so. Of course, Tron is high enough in the power rankings that they should reach the playoffs, but right now they would most definitely be on the road in the first round of the playoffs. Stick with us because Friday night we're going to have live scoring updates from all of these games and others from around Northwest Georgia State. Come back later for Prep Central Online. Articles, photos, videos, and Gridiron Central Scoreboard Show will tell you who has won, who has lost. We will break down the final playoff picture. It may not be the final playoff picture because single A we won't know for another few days, but hopefully we'll have an idea about what the mini games will entail, if there will be mini games. A lot of stuff up in the air. And of course, next Wednesday, we'll break down all of the first round playoff action for all of our teams above single A. Single A first round still 2 weeks away. For Kevin Myrick, Matt Davis, I'm Jim Alred saying we'll see you on the sidelines.